Hey, welcome in. Well, here's some news that's of absolutely no surprise to anybody. What's the headline? Former CNN employee says outlet has no real ethical code. Well, that's a shocker. In other news, drinking poison is bad for you. Anyway, what are they saying? Despite revelations that Chris Cuomo secretly advised brother Andrew Cuomo on how to handle multiple allegations of harassment, the Cuomo primetime host still has his cushy job for one reason, according to a former employee. CNN has no ethical standards. And I guess you can add to that they don't have any viewers either. CNN ratings down 70% without Trump from May 27th. So I wonder if the ratings boost they got from Trump was just because people wanted to hate Trump and they reliably gave them reasons to hate Trump, whether they were true or not. Because without Trump, they're not very interested in what CNN has to say. Let's see. Anyway, it says most news outlets have well-developed guidelines laying down red lines governing appropriate journalistic behavior. Well, those are all out the window for everybody now in the mainstream media anyway, isn't it? I mean, New York Times, if the editor publishes a story that the staff don't like, they all go into revolt. If anything's published that's not woke, they get really cross and do the usual screaming and crying until they get their way. Just going to interrupt for 1 second to say, if you like this content, subscribe so you can see more. Thanks a lot. But anyway, there's supposed to be guidelines for appropriate journalistic behavior. Supposed to be. Anyway, it says National Public Radio's code, for instance, says quite bluntly that NPR journalists may not participate in marches and rallies concerning issues that NPR covers, which is pretty much everything. Doesn't stop NPR from being completely biased, but okay. It says, quote, a journalist can be fired for violating an employer's ethical rules. And that's from the Society of Professional Journalists. But anyway, that won't happen at CNN because it has no such code, according to a former CNN employee. Quote, you won't see any rules that are etched in stone so that a violation could be a firing offense. That's from Steve Holmes, who spent a decade at CNN before retiring 2 years ago. They can't say that Cuomo violated any written policies because there aren't any, period. And I guess whatever their policies actually are, CNN doesn't want you to see them because it says here, CNN actually fought a legal battle in Florida 3 years ago to keep its editorial guidelines secret. The few excerpts that the cable news network had to release were marked attorney's eyes only, barring even the parties involved in the lawsuit from reading them. So nobody knows. But we know. We do know, though, right? There aren't any. It's just say whatever you think is going to get eyeballs back on them again. And right now they're in a low because there's no Trump, but they're going to try and find something or somebody. They'll just keep, as long as it's leftist, right? As long as it's leftist, they'll just keep experimenting until they find the right mix. But obviously, specifically here, they're talking about Chris Cuomo and his relationship with his brother, the governor of New York, and how it's just obviously utterly corrupt. I mean, it's a pretty simple fix. He should just not have anything to do with covering his brother. He shouldn't be interviewing him. He shouldn't be talking about any of the stories related to his brother, especially the giant scandals surrounding him, which of course include harassment and sending C-19 positive seniors into nursing homes, which seems obviously insane and, I don't know, criminal maybe? Anyway, it says here, it's not clear how Chris Cuomo's actions are affected by the guidelines. Cuomo responded to the revelation regarding him and his brother, broken by the Washington Post, by offering an on-air apology to his viewers and colleagues. It was a mistake, he said. I'm truly sorry. And just to reiterate here, what they're talking about is Chris Cuomo secretly advised his brother Andrew Cuomo on how to handle multiple allegations of harassment. So you're really not supposed to be doing that. But I guess it's all fine because he's saying that it was a mistake and that he's truly sorry. But anyway, he also defended himself on the grounds that, quote, I've never tried to influence this network's coverage of my brother. I wonder if you could just do that by covering him yourself. I wonder if that's a way that you could influence the network's coverage by just directly covering him in a fraudulent way and an unethical way. I don't know. But anyway, he admits to advising his brother, and those on the call told the Post that he guided his brother on how to respond to media questions, and the reporters he would know most intimately would be those on CNN. I don't know, this just seems like just normal CNN. Is this surprising? It's not surprising at all. So, are there consequences for this? Well, the network greeted the news by immediately announcing that Cuomo would suffer no consequences. Of course. Although several of his colleagues complained about his actions publicly or privately. So let's see, Brian Stelter from CNN, he said something which is very surprising. He said if Chris Cuomo wants to call into strategy sessions with his brother's aides, shouldn't he take a leave of absence from CNN? Well, I'll tell you what, Brian, that's going to get you thrown down a flight of stairs by Chris Cuomo. He's got a little bit of an anger problem, apparently. And also, Brian Stelter, you're the last one who should be talking. But it is nice that he took a few moments away from obsessing about Tucker Carlson, so that's good. Probably good for his mental health. Let's see, Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper also had scathing words for Cuomo's actions in the New York Times last Thursday. He said, quote, Chris, in his apology that he delivered on air, said that he put us in a bad spot, and I would agree with that. I worked very hard to be fair and to be ethical and to not cross lines, he continued. We all reflect on each other. Well, I, for one, just want to thank Jake Tapper for all of his hard work to be fair and ethical and not cross lines, lo these many years. And just to not do things like say, well, here's a headline. CNN's Jake Tapper doesn't think the media got anything wrong while covering Russia investigation from 2019. So Trump said the media was so wrong for so long and their coverage of the Russia investigation. And what did Jake Tapper say in response to that? Well, he said, quote, I'm not sure what you're saying the media got wrong. He said, quote, the media reported the investigation was ongoing. Other than the people in the media on the left, not on this network, I don't know anybody who got anything wrong. We didn't say there was a conspiracy. We said that Mueller was investigating conspiracy. Yet that's all that happened. They just reported impartially on the investigation. They certainly didn't put out any crazy conspiracy theories or give credence to crazy conspiracy theories or lead people in certain directions. Absolutely not. I mean, except for stuff like this. CNN Politics. McCabe, I think it's possible Trump is a Russian asset. Because this was totally plausible. Totally plausible. Let's see. Former acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe said Tuesday, it is possible President Donald Trump is a Russian asset. So CNN's Anderson Cooper asked Andrew McCabe, do you still believe the president could be a Russian asset? And McCabe said, quote, I think it's possible. I think that's why we started our investigation, and I'm really anxious to see where Special Counsel Robert Mueller concludes that. Now, we know that in hindsight, this is obviously ridiculous. We also do at the time it was ridiculous, but it didn't seem ridiculous to CNN. They say it's another bombshell comment from McCabe. CNN took all this stuff very seriously, and they ran with it. So anyway, I think these are pretty empty words from Jake Tapper or Stelter or any of them. And none of this is surprising. It's something we already knew, but I guess it's notable in that it just confirms what we already knew. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you just like to listen, there's the podcast Radio Baloney. It's on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.